Imagine an enemy so shrouded in mystery that even now, scholars can't agree on who they truly were. A force that emerged from open water, toppled powerful kingdoms, reduced cities that had endured for a millennium to ash, then disappeared into legend, leaving behind no name we can fully trust. For more than 100 years, scholars, linguists, and archaeologists have pursued their trail across the Mediterranean world, piecing together clues from burned palaces, broken pottery, and desperate letters written in the final days before the silence fell. They are known as the Sea Peoples, and their tale is the tale of an entire civilization unraveling. To grasp just how staggering this collapse truly was, we first need to see the world as it stood before the fall. Around 1200 BC, the Eastern Mediterranean stood as the wealthiest, most interconnected region on the planet. Egypt commanded the Nile with almost unimaginable riches, its pharaohs ruling over a civilization already 2,000 years old. The Hittite Empire held Anatolia in its grip, a power that stood toe-to-toe with Egypt itself, commanding vast armies of chariots and iron weapons. The Mycenaean Greeks raised palace fortresses overflowing with gold, presiding over storied cities like Mycenae and Peleset, the very world later immortalized in Homer's epics. Along the coastline, cities such as Ugarit flourished as commercial crossroads, linking Egypt, Cyprus, Mesopotamia, and the Aegean into one sprawling network of exchange. Tin flowed in from the west. Copper arrived from Cyprus. Grain traveled by ship. Kings addressed one another as brother in letters carried between courts, exchanging gifts, arranging royal marriages, and negotiating trade as equals. In many respects, it was an early rehearsal of a globalized world, fragile, interdependent, and, as it turned out, dangerously exposed to shock. It felt like prosperity without end. Yet within only a handful of decades, nearly all of it would vanish. Without any warning, unfamiliar fleets began appearing along Mediterranean shores. Watchmen on the coast rushed word inland in a panic. No kingdom could say where these ships had come from. No one knew their numbers, or which shore they would strike next. They came not to bargain. They came to conquer, to set fire, and to press onward. Correspondence unearthed at the ruined city of Ugarit preserves that terror in raw form. One frantic letter begs for reinforcements, warning that hostile ships had already been spotted offshore. Another, addressed to the king of Cyprus, describes enemy vessels burning towns and warns that the writer's own city may be next. The help arrived too late. City after city fell. Ugarit, once a shining center of trade, burned so thoroughly that no one ever rebuilt it. Its remains lay hidden beneath the soil for over 3,000 years, until French archaeologists stumbled upon them by accident in 1928, after a farmer's plow struck an ancient tomb. Harbor towns across Cyprus were reduced to rubble. Palaces throughout Greece crumbled into wreckage, their treasure rooms stripped bare, their thrones left empty forever. The elaborate bureaucracy of the Mycenaean world, the scribes, the tax records, the palace workshops, disappeared so completely that writing itself was lost in Greece for nearly 400 years. Whole civilizations vanished within a single generation, a mere instant on the scale of history. Archaeologists refer to this layer of destruction as the burn horizon, a charred band in the earth marking the precise moment these cities perished. Dig at dozens of sites across the region, and you'll find the same telltale layer of ash and collapsed mud brick, dated to almost exactly the same narrow window of time. It stands as one of the greatest catastrophes the ancient world ever witnessed. The formidable Hittite Empire, one of history's true superpowers, fell apart without warning. Its capital, Hattusa, was left deserted. Towering stone fortifications that had once unsettled Egyptian pharaohs stood hollow and silent. Vaults of clay tablets, once brimming with treaties and royal letters, fell quiet. For hundreds of years, Hattusa lay buried and unknown, until archaeologists brought it back to light in the 20th century. An empire that had defined the ancient world for 5 centuries simply blinked out of existence. So who exactly were these invaders? This is where the story turns from tragedy into genuine mystery. Egyptian inscriptions list several distinct group names among the Sea Peoples, names like the Peleset, the Sherden, the Tjeker, and the Denyen. But the Egyptians never explained where these groups came from, only that they arrived from across the sea. For generations, scholars have proposed candidate homelands scattered across the Mediterranean: Sardinia, Sicily, the Greek mainland, Western Anatolia, even the Balkans. One of the more compelling theories connects the Peleset to the Philistines, who settled the coast of Canaan shortly after this period. The same Philistines later mentioned throughout the Hebrew Bible. Excavations at Philistine cities like Ashkelon have uncovered pottery styles strikingly similar to Mycenaean Greek designs, suggesting genuine ties to the Aegean world. But a single unified answer has never emerged. The Sea Peoples may not have been one people at all, but a shifting coalition of displaced groups, refugees, raiders, and mercenaries swept up together by the same crisis that was destroying their homelands. That raises an even bigger question: what caused the crisis in the first place? Modern researchers now suspect the Sea Peoples were less a cause of the collapse and more a symptom of it. Climate scientists studying pollen samples and lake sediments from this era have found evidence of a prolonged, severe drought gripping the eastern Mediterranean right as the collapse began. Failed harvests would have triggered famine. Famine would have triggered unrest. And unrest would have sent entire populations searching for new land, by whatever means necessary. Add to this a web of earthquakes recorded in the archaeological record, along with the sheer fragility of a trade network so interconnected that the collapse of one kingdom could starve the next of copper, or grain, or tin. And you have what historians now call a perfect storm: climate change, famine, migration, and warfare, all feeding into one another until the entire system buckled at once. The Sea Peoples pressed onward down the Levantine coast. By the time they neared Egypt's borders, they arrived not as a single raiding party, but as a full-scale migration. Men, women, and children traveling alongside warriors and warships, their belongings piled onto ox carts. This was no ordinary army. It resembled an entire people uprooted and on the move, searching for somewhere left to call home. Pharaoh Ramesses III saw the invasion coming. He massed his forces along Egypt's eastern border and readied his warships in the Nile Delta for a confrontation that would determine whether Egypt itself would survive. In the Nile Delta, Egyptian archers darkened the sky with arrows. Egyptian vessels pinned the enemy fleet against the shoreline, cutting off any chance of escape or maneuver. Warships collided in chaos. Sailors fought hand-to-hand across decks slippery with seawater. It became one of the largest naval engagements recorded from the ancient world, and among the earliest to be documented in such vivid detail. Despite the odds stacked against him, Ramesses III crushed the Sea Peoples. His triumph was immortalized on the walls of his mortuary temple at Medinet Habu, where intricate carvings of the battle remain visible today: vessels locked in combat, warriors tumbling into the waves, captives marched before the pharaoh. These carvings remain our finest visual record of the Sea Peoples themselves. Their unusual horned helmets, feathered headpieces, and unfamiliar arms and armor. Egypt endured, but the victory came at a staggering cost, and the Egypt that survived was never the same again. Within decades, its empire abroad had crumbled, its treasury was drained, and the age of the great pharaohs was already slipping into decline. The wider world fared far worse. Within a single lifetime, the Bronze Age, an era of towering palaces, international diplomacy, and long-distance trade, had simply ended. What followed has often been called a Dark Age: smaller settlements, simpler pottery, the loss of riding across entire regions, and centuries before cities would rise to that same scale of splendor again. To this day, the Sea Peoples remain one of archaeology's most tantalizing unsolved cases. A people who reshaped the ancient world and then vanished so completely that we still don't know, for certain, who they really were. For more interesting ancient history, please subscribe.